You know that you want to become a developer, but you don't know where to start and how to get there fast? I have been there, and I want to share a small guide that will help you have certain things into consideration when starting your development career. Okay, so this is a very exciting and crucial stage of your career. If I were to start over, I would have wished to know straight away what my options to be a developer were. So, let's go for it. In my opinion, there are mainly two things you should focus on when starting your career. And that's 1. The type of development you want to do, and 2. The learning path you should take. Okay, so let's explore this option first. What type of development do you want to focus on? So to know what type of development I would like to do, in an ideal world I would just try everything, but as in reality each path of development is super vast, I would start doing something else. Like for example researching. I would start reading blogs, watching YouTube videos, asking people that are working already in the career what their thoughts are on the path specifically, and doing online courses. I would also analyze my personality, like what are the kind of things I like. Maybe you are more the kind of person that like visuals, design, animations, or maybe you're more the kind of person that likes to analyze data. Well, just by knowing one of these facts could actually help you decide on what career to take on. Okay, so let's explore what are the options for you out there. I will just mention a few here, which is, for example, web development, you have data science, machine learning, mobile development, and many others. Just in the web development world, you already have front-end development, back-end development, and full-stack development. In my case, I am specialized on web development. As at the beginning of my career, I didn't really know where to start. I actually tried out all the different paths within web development. This is not necessarily bad, because you can get to know more or less how the entire life cycle of web development works. You know how the client side works, how the backend side works, how everything is linked together. In case that you don't know what front-end, backend, and full-stack development is, I'll explain super briefly with an example just to give you some kind of notion of what they are. Front-end development is that part of the web that is displayed to the end user, also known as the client side. For example, if we go to youtube.com, all of the page that we see there is actually the client side, is what the user can see. And this is everything like the thumbnails, the search bar, your profile picture, or whatever is displayed there, right? So if we go to the search bar and we start typing something in, we'll see some suggestions coming in. Now, all of these suggestions displayed are actually coming from the backend. What the backend is actually doing is performing certain requests to certain databases where this data is stored, and then retrieving it back to the front end, so the front end can display all these suggestions for the end user. Now, full stack development is the union from both front end and back end. So a person that works on full stack development will be working with the client side and with the backend side at the same time. Coming back to the point we were talking about before, what development path you should take? Like within web development, there are many options. Which one would you take? In my case, I actually decided to go more with front-end development because it really made sense for me. I'm a very visual person. I really like designs, animations. So I feel like this actually brings me joy. I also like full stack development, and this is something I could do at the same time because I also like all the logic behind the backend development, but I feel like I couldn't live without that front end part, that visual part. And that's actually the kind of thinking I want you to go over. Really analyze yourself and see what would be the path that you would enjoy the most. If you have decided that you want to take on web development, and you don't know which area specifically of web development you would prefer, front end, back end, or full stack, I would advise you on taking full stack development because you can see how the entire life cycle of an application works, how you enjoy the front end development or the back end development, and in there you would finally choose something that you really enjoy. There is a nice blog on FreeCodeCamp I actually was reading one of these days that talks about what is web development and how to become a web developer. I will leave the links in the description below so you can have a look. Okay, so this now takes us to the second point to have into consideration, and this is very important so you can actually become a developer fast, and that's what's the learning path you should take. In my last video, I surfaced this a bit, and basically there are 3 options out there. And by the way, if you haven't watched it, it may be interesting to you as I talked about why you should become a developer. I will be leaving the link here so you can actually have a look. Alright, one of the options for you is to get a university degree. This option is of course not viable for everyone, and it doesn't focus much on you having the technical skills and the hands-on knowledge after you get graduated, but on another hand is valued from most employers. Okay, this now takes us to another question, which is what degree should I get, or what degree should I go for? Normally most developers have a computer science degree. If you start working for a company, you'll see many of your colleagues have a computer science degree. Preferably you have a degree related to technology. It doesn't have to be a computer science degree, but in reality you don't even need a degree. If you don't believe me, Google says it, and as you may already know, Google is always right. Actually, Google is one of the companies that really promotes this. They don't really care if you have a degree or not. They just want someone that has the knowledge or the technical knowledge to work for their company. Now, as most of you may already know, there's another disadvantage of this path, which is that it is super time consuming. It takes you probably 3, 4, 5 years, depends which country you are, to get a university degree. It is super expensive to get one. It depends if you study in a public or private university, of course. And not everybody have the patience to wait for so much time to get a degree. Another very popular option is to assist a bootcamp. So the nice thing about a bootcamp is that they normally have a very well structured path for you to follow, so you can become very proficient in one area of development. Bootcamps can teach you any area of web development, like front-end, full stack or back-end development, but one thing I've seen very often is that they tend to teach their students is full stack development. They tend to focus on that. And it is because normally when the students get graduated have more jobs opportunity. If certain companies are offering a front-end development role for a junior developer, then probably someone that got graduated as a full stack developer could actually apply to that job, or for the back-end side as well. For example, if another company has a back-end development job available, this gives you more options in the market after you get graduated, and it's logical that they actually do this because of it. Now let's talk about the duration of bootcamps. Bootcamps tend to be around 6 to 12 months, but it really depends what bootcamp and which plan of the bootcamp you choose. They also have very often a very intensive plan of 3 months. That's for people that can afford to only do the bootcamp. For example, you would be doing the bootcamp 5 days a week from 9 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. It is really your choice. It really depends what your situation, but it's nice to have those options. Now, how much money will you spend in a bootcamp? Well, again, it really depends to which bootcamp do you go to, but I've seen that prices are around $5,000 to $7,000. I've done some research for example, for the Code Institute, they charge you around $6,000, and for Career Foundry, they charge you around $5,000 to $6,000. So yeah, it really depends. Of course, you have the options to pay monthly, like paying $400 per month or $500 per month, but still I would say that bootcamps are a bit expensive. Now, there is a cool thing about bootcamps, and that is that they offer financial help. So if you can pay the course at the moment you are doing it, you can apply for it, and they give you some kind of credit for you to do the entire course without paying, and you will pay after you get a developer job when you get graduated from the bootcamp. So as I said, if you are looking for bootcamps in the UK or Europe, you can have a look to Code Institute and to Career Foundry. They offer classes 100% online, so I guess they would work from anywhere in the world. This is also a benefit, like you can just do it from the comfort of your home. Another cool thing is that most of the bootcamps have connections with external companies, so you can get help on getting interviews with these companies when you just finish your bootcamp. Now, the other learning path you can take, and actually my favorite one, is to be a self-taught developer. It is great because you can study at your own pace. There's a lot of very cheap and free resources out there for you from where to learn from. A lot of online platforms from where you can do courses online, even free or prices that are very cheap, like Udacity, Udemy, Skillshare, Frontend Master, Coursera, and many others. Now, what is really the disadvantage on this path? In my opinion, it is that you have to look for the structure that you need to really become proficient in the development path that you want to go for. Normally, it is a bit difficult to really find something that works for you. Although I would say there are many resources out there, it is just a matter of researching, see what they have in common, see what the industry is also asking for, what you really like, and do like a match of all of this and learn something that you want to. Also, you will have to commit to study on your own. It would require you to really be persistent, to say, look, I have this schedule to study and I won't miss it. I will study 3 days a week for 3 hours each day. That's something not everybody really follows. Not everybody set their mind to be comfortable with that schedule. So that's something I would advise you to take on and follow responsibly if you're thinking to follow the self-taught developer path. Now, how much time it takes you to be hireable, to be in that state where you feel a bit more comfortable with applying to a very junior job and a company can actually hire you as well. In my opinion, if you study at least 4 days a week, 3 hours each day, you will have enough knowledge to apply for a developer job in around 3 to 6 months. It really depends how fast you learn, but I would say 6 months is more than enough. Another good point of this path is that you don't have to spend too much money. There are a lot of online courses that are very cheap. For example, in Udemy you can find courses only for $10. In other platforms you could spend $30, $50. It's really not that much for all the amount of knowledge that you can get from there. You have blogs like dev.to, Medium, FreeCodeCamp, websites like Stack Overflow, mobile applications that can help you learn certain things in code like SoloLearn, for example. There are many others. So friends, some tips of what we have talked about already. 1. You don't need a university degree, so don't get discouraged by this. Many developers don't have a university degree, are self-taught developers, or they have completed their studies in bootcamps. If you don't have the money or the time, you don't need to assist a bootcamp either. It's not really necessary. I think it's very good for the reasons I've said before. It gives you structure, it really helps you to commit to some plan of study. You have certain developers at hand that can advise you on something, but really is not necessary. You can become a self-taught developer. Just remember to really commit to your plan. Look for a good structure of front-end development. What are normally the languages used in front-end development, whether it is JavaScript, HTML, CSS, maybe some frameworks, I don't know, Django or React or Angular or whatever is more popular. Commit to study at least 4 days a week and 3 hours each day if you want to become a developer fast. If you don't have as much time, you can always reduce the amount of time. There's no problem. There's people that learn faster as well. Don't get discouraged by this. Figure out what kind of development do you want to do and stick to it. That would be my advice, because honestly, as I said, each kind of development is pretty vast, so it would take you a whole life to be super proficient in one. Also, try to learn one development language before taking on another, whether it is JavaScript, Python, Java, it doesn't really matter. Just take one, get somewhat proficient on it, and then you can think on taking on another. And lastly, create your own development projects, no matter how small they are. This is what actually is going to give you the proficiency you need to apply for that development job. Remember, it doesn't matter what path of development you take, just stay committed to it and make sure that you enjoy it.